Otsuka is a very well-known pharmaceutical company in Taiwan, and they want to promote long-term employee retention and career development. So we analyzed it and thought it was more of a stabilization regime. And they emphasize a very structured HRM strategy, and it is designed to support the stability that they want. There are still a bit of discourse and a gap between what the company says and what actually happens, as we can see from the interview that we did with a former Otsuka employee. So first of all, we'll talk about Otsuka's business strategy. It's very highly competitive, and they have competitors like Johnson & Johnson or like Latuda or other pharmaceutical companies that are doing very well. And what sets apart these different pharmaceutical companies or the competitors of Otsuka? Otsuka wants to differentiate themselves from other pharmaceutical companies that are marketing the same drug in the same specialty. And they're trying to invest in very innovative medicine and nutraceuticals. But the problem is Otsuka is a Japanese company, and compared to the Western companies, like, they don't offer a salary that high. So even though they are a stabilization regime, they want to give high salary to employees to try to keep them. It's not really high salaries compared to other pharmaceutical companies. Work environments aren't that flexible either. So this is where the gap is. So in the social mix, there are 4 axes, and the first one would be the employment axis. Otsuka wants to promote long-term growth, long-term careers for their employees, but in reality, the employees are leaving within 1 or 2 years, and they want to promote internal mobility. That's not even possible if they're leaving in 1 or 2 years. So this is the gap between what they say they're going to do and what actually happens. And the second one is compensation. They say they compensate their employees with more than 12 months of pay, sometimes like about 16.5 months. But the reality is each month they're offering less compared to Western companies. So even if they offer a really high amount of months, if each month is still low, it doesn't really matter. The Western pharmaceutical companies are offering a lot more in salary. And the third one would be participation. They want their employees to participate in their decision making, but with their voice committee, they're only listening to what type of snacks they're getting, like small office perks. It's not really in terms of the direction that the company wants to grow in. And the last one would be development. They do say that they want to develop their employees, but the training opportunities aren't that many, and are employees really benefiting from these trainings if they're just like 1 or 2 day sales training salespeople to do what they already know? Is it considered development? So we analyzed why this gap exists, and I feel like it comes down to what the younger generation want compared to what the older generation had. Job security and long-term loyalty is what the older generation valued, but right now the young employees would prefer a very competitive salary, flexibility in terms of mobility, or being able to have the freedom to do their jobs where they want and how they want. And the third would be career advancements, whether it's vertical or in other functions, so horizontal. And so since we know that these problems exist, what are the ways that Otsuka can solve these problems? So the first one would be to allow the workers, the employees, to be able to work where they want and a bit of flexibility with work hours. And the second one to be to increase the salary, so there's competitiveness compared to Western pharmaceutical companies. And the third one would be career development, to show and actually train their employees to be able to go to other functions if they wanted to and had the ability to. And the fourth one would be include them in talks or discussions about future HR policies. So from what we talked about and analyzed, there is a gap, but it's not impossible to close the gap. The company has a lot of good things in place, so if the above recommendations were implemented, we believe that it would boost employee satisfaction and also enhance economic performance, which is both good for the company.